Good morning, good afternoon, beautiful members of the Temple group. Dominika here after a short break. Hope everyone is doing absolutely amazingly well, and I am very happy to be back. For a while I was considering whether I should keep this group or not. And eventually I did some work with Hathor, and I once again dived deeply into my purpose, feeling into my purpose, and I decided to keep the group and just keep it open and allow for the women who are truly seeking the authentic embodiment of the divine union within, of becoming the profound, important, amazing, powerful, divine feminine, the embodiment of the divine feminine. I know that those that will will be called to it, they will find this group and they will find those videos on the YouTube. So today I decided to come back, and I am coming back with a beautiful personal story that is very deeply and in a very important way linked to the path of the divine feminine that I recently experienced in my personal life. And I decided to share this once more to highlight how profound this journey truly is, and what kind of gifts are awaiting you if you truly commit to this divine union within you. If you will have any questions after this video, after watching this video, feel free to comment or feel free to contact me through personal message or email. I will leave all details in the comments below and the description below. So you probably heard me saying that for me personally, in my personal life and in my work, when I work with women, the authenticity of taking this journey, the authenticity within the experience of this journey is most important. I often spoke about many different platforms where you can find a lot of labels, a lot of information, a lot of descriptions of the divine feminine. However, they do often just give you step by step, and many women, simply by applying some very basic steps without experiencing the whole journey deeply within, they are calling themselves the divine feminine. Well, nothing wrong with that, but the difference between becoming the divine feminine just because you decided to call yourself like that without going through the whole experience, deep, profound, energetic shift and experience, and actually the almost like physical feeling of the union within you, there is a massive difference in that. And this authenticity, as I said, was always the most important for me when I was working on myself, with other women. And I would always ask a few times, are you sure that you want to step on this path? Because you're gonna have to completely sacrifice everything that your ego created about you. The whole illusionary self will have to be sacrificed. You're gonna have to fully surrender. You're gonna have to fully release the control. And at times it will be very difficult because we hold on to control because of some kind of fear. And we may have very simple fears, but we can have also very deep subconscious fears. I did a broadcast not such a long time ago about the steps of embodying the divine union, and I explained exactly every single step. And one of those steps is, for example, facing the fear of dying, facing the fear of death, which we all on some level embodied either through our ancestors or some kind of experience in this incarnation or any other incarnation. And in that moment, you're gonna have to rely purely and solely only on your relationship with God, and that trust in truth, which is the infinite love, which is just the God. not the illusions of death, not the illusions of lack, not the illusions of scarcity and all of that. You're gonna have to overcome all of it and become one with God. You are one with God, but what separates you is the illusions that you decided to believe in a conscious or unconscious way because of the ideas that the ego gave you. And I have to say that the reason why I took this break from the group was because I was examining my own commitment, I was examining my own path, and I was examining my fears. And one of my biggest fears that I do carried within me was the fear actually of death, the final step that I took on from an early childhood after the near-death experience, because that experience came from the masculine, and my subconscious perceived the divine masculine as the masculine that hurt me. It was really, really difficult for me to step into internal union and be 100% authentic with what I do. And that started to bother me a lot. I started to question my path a lot. I started to question myself a lot. And because I like to be honest in everything that I do, and I like to be honest when I'm sharing, you know, my experiences, my knowledge, I decided I really need to face it. And I went and I spoke to God, and I said, I just can't go ahead with my mission. I just really can't go further with mentoring women if I am not the full embodiment of the truth that I am sharing with them. And God responded immediately. Yeshua was assisting me, was teaching me so much in a very short space of time, helping me to recognize the illusions that I still believe in, telling me how can I overcome them and dissolve them so I can step into oneness. And what happened for me was that one evening I was asked by Jay to just fully let go, just to fully release all the control, all the fears that were stored deeply within my physical body, emotional body, mental space, and just completely just jump off the cliff. And before I tell you what happened next, I just wanted to share a very important information about the attachments, about the attachments that we create out of fear of lack, fear of death, fear of safety, some form of fear. Every single attachment that we create, meaning we want to control something, we are attaching ourselves to something external rather than, you know, stepping into wholeness, into oneness with God, comes from fear. Fear comes from guilt often. Guilt comes from sin, and sin doesn't exist, and we are actually being swallowed up by one big illusion. And what happens when we are developing those controlling patterns, when we are developing attachments to the external, and you know, the attachment to external can be anything, in the form of a person, in the form of a behavior, in the form of addiction, anything that is basically attaching us to the external, that is the illusion, rather than finding it within ourselves, within the connection to God. Every single time we are attaching ourselves, it's like we are exchanging a part of us, a part of our essence, a chunk of our essence, our truth, our oneness with God, for this attachment. The bigger the attachments, and the biggest energetically attachments are definitely the substance abuse, addictions, things like that. We are literally, as I said, exchanging the truth for a lie. And when we are losing even 1% from our wholeness, we are disconnecting from our spirit. We are disconnecting from this connection to God. We are disconnecting from being able to fully embody that divine feminine. And then when we are releasing this attachment, and sometimes we could have carried those attachments for most of our lives, so it might be challenging, but when we are releasing that, when we are giving up the control, what a beautiful thing is happening for us. We are receiving back the aspect of us, the frequency of our truth, the frequency of our divinity back. And you will feel it. You will literally feel it. The moment you make that choice, that you choose the truth instead of the illusion, the lie, and even if you don't know how to deal with it, you can give it to the Holy Spirit to guide you. You can give it to God to help you to release it. The moment you make that choice and you take those action steps and you commit into that choice through your next actions, you are really getting back something that you probably maybe didn't even know you missed. But the feeling is, you can't compare this feeling of receiving back yourself, an aspect, an essence of yourself. It's love, it's lightness, it's the biggest, the most grandest gift you could ever get for a birthday, for your birthday or Christmas. I'm lacking words in English to find that I could find to describe you this feeling, but it does work, and I really encourage you to try, even starting with some small attachments. So ultimately, you know, in order to become whole, in order to become your divine self, one with God, you really need to release all of them. You really need to release all of the control. And that is the role of the divine feminine. And I spoke about this, why it is important for us to return, you know, to those lower chakras, when the Shakti Kundalini can awaken and she can travel up to awaken the divine masculine within us. Because this is when the internal union, you know, is happening. The feminine and the masculine, both empowered, are merging, and they are creating the third element, which is the God self. I spoke about that, how difficult it is for us women, because in those lower chakras we carry the most of our traumas. So there will be a lot of fears: fear of survival, fear of shame, fear of guilt, fear of humiliation, fear of pain, even physical pain. All of that we carry within the womb, we carry within our root chakra. That's why, you know, the womb healing is so important, and I always encourage every single woman to have it done. And the moment when you are really truly saying, okay, I have had enough of this illusionary self, I see I am being led by the fear, which is not my God, love is my God, and you are making that choice, and you are starting to release those illusions, you are starting to release those fears, and you are fully embracing and stepping into your sovereignty and this oneness with God. There's nothing that can be compared. But there is one thing to say it, and the other thing is to experience it. And that's what happened for me on the 11th. I think on the 10th or 9th, I had a group call with the Temple group, women from the Temple group and group academy. And I actually shared with them that I just have this frustration inside of me, and I need to end this connection. I can't move forward. It's painful. It's painful. And I was trying to fight with it, and I was trying all different things, and it wasn't working. And Jay would always just come and say, just give it to me. Just give it to me. And what happened on the 11th, he, during the meditation, during the conversation we had, he encouraged me to start slowly unwrapping my fingers from the control that I was holding around my safety. Because death, safety, all is connected, yeah? The biggest fear, really, losing your life, and which is not real, again, because death is not real, but, you know, it was deeply rooted inside of me. What happened next, I wasn't expecting that, but as I was unwrapping my little fingers, you know, of my inner child from this control, the first thing I felt was such a deep, profound connection to God. I felt God everywhere. It was so real, I could touch the frequency of God inside of me. I could feel it outside of me, everywhere. And I could feel my tears were falling. And as I was surrendering to that frequency of God, my whole body started to decompress. And as I was decompressing, I could feel like every single cell is releasing that fear, that trauma, that pain, that suffering, and is being illuminated inside out with light, with the truth. And as I was doing that, my Kundalini just shoot up, and I could feel the divine masculine rising. So powerful. The next thing I remember was I completely lost the sense of identity. I felt I am the divine feminine energy, but without the name, without a form, without a frame, just endless, infinite feminine energy that is being one, like stick together with the divine masculine. My ego went bonkers in that moment, of course. Many different sensations I could feel in inside of my body, but in that short space, what I experienced, I was given the opportunity to experience the truth, the oneness with God, to help me push through this fear, this illusion. And I felt such a deep sense of commitment. And I kept saying, my biggest dream just came true, God. My biggest dream just came true. This is the most beautiful day in my life. Because I finally collapsed the illusion of any separation, of leaving you ever. And I am sharing this with you because with this freedom comes so much peace. And with this peace, there is this complete safety and ability to see that whatever comes from fear does not come from God, therefore is not real, and therefore I am denying it with the power of my word, and I choose God. And there's so much freedom in it, because there's no fear. You're no longer limiting yourself, you're no longer categorizing yourself, you're no longer taking action that are somehow driven by fear or lack or anything else. And you have this one truth pulsating inside of you. One. It was the gift from the divine. And with this, I really want to invite you to look around your life and see where are you holding on to this control, to this fear. Because underneath that control, there is the true you. And once you will let go the false illusion, the lie, you will receive back the truth, the divine self. And this is the path of the divine feminine, because then when you walk in that peace, in that divine grace, then when you serve from a space of such a calmness, love, integrity, authenticity, and that's how you attract other women as a leader who wish to step on the same path, and you start to build something really solid, a beautiful foundation for the generations to come. Because this is another thing. The reason why we are now returning home, the reason why we've been working so hard on ourselves to heal, to release, is not for the purpose of just carrying the title Divine Feminine for the purpose of having it, but it is for the purpose of creating a new foundation. new energetic signature for the women that will come after us. And this is hugely important. This is in itself such a mission, such a big mission, whether you're going to decide to take it further and make a career out of that mission, or just simply embody that and then pass it on to your daughters or any other women in your family, women that you will meet in your life and share your experiences. That itself is already huge. It's huge. And it can't be replaced with anything. But if you will decide to take this title just because you decide to call yourself, I am living in the Aquarius age and therefore I am the divine feminine, then you're gonna miss on a really profound experience of being one with God. And there is nothing, no physical attachments to any material things that will ever, replace that. Because also the reason why we are, for example, attaching ourselves to substances, food, shopping, anything else, is because we are trying to fill that void. And we don't even know what that void is. That void is the illusion of us being separate from God, or us being separate with the divine masculine. So it's all a lie. It's like Jesus said, I will give you the food and water that will never make you hungry or thirsty. This is exactly it. And additionally, I wanted to share something also very important that Jay told me about after this experience. And I shared this earlier today at the Robert Khalil live interview broadcast, Typical Skeptic. I'm gonna share this in a group soon too, when I'm gonna receive the recording. When Jay, during that moment of unification with God, stepping into that union, experiencing this on very deep energetic and physical level, what Jay told me is a very important message for everyone, for women and men. And he said this, that the God's kingdom, the new earth, is here. And it always has been. We never left. But what is hiding this kingdom of God is the illusion of the 3D reality. And what is the 3D reality? It is the upside down matrix. It is the opposite, literally the opposite to God's kingdom, where everything is being done the opposite way. For example, we've been programmed to believe that to create something in the physical, we need to start from the physical, not from the internal. Now we know we need to create reality that we wish to experience internally, right? For it to express itself externally. We've been told that things that are not good for us are good, and the other way around. We've been told that to cure illness, we need to take medications instead of looking at our mind. Because what this reality ultimately is, it is something that is happening only in our mind. It's not even here. It's not real. It doesn't exist in a way. This whole life is happening in our mind. Everything is in our mind. The problem is that the mind has been affected. The mind has been programmed in a negative way. The mind has been split, he said. The ego aspect has been created when we believe that we left home. And through this false belief, the ego self has been born and told us, you are now separate from God. God will never forgive you. You committed a sin. You should fear God. And based on this initial lie, initial error, as Jay says, error within the mind, error within the matrix, the separation was born, and everything in this reality is based on separation. What the sin created was guilt. Guilt created fear. Fear created within us the conflict mentality, war mentality, or running away mentality. Then there is the self-punishment, self-judgment. And all of that are errors of the mind. This is the illness of the mind, the conflict of the mind that is then creating a reality that is the upside down, that is not of God. And Jay said that in order to dissolve this illusion, we need to really become really present with ourselves and really aware of what is true and what is the illusion. Because everything that is based on the distortion on the fear is not real, therefore doesn't exist. And the only way to be able to step into the frequency of the new earth so it can express itself externally, the God's kingdom, we need to step into this union with God. We need to step into the truth individually and on the collective level, he said. We need to become energetic match, and for that, we need to face those illusions. We need to face those fears. We need to dissolve them. And how do you dissolve them? Jay was teaching me, and I'm going to give you 2 examples. He said, when you see an illusion is everything that doesn't come from love. Lack, scarcity, as I said, illness, fear, everything, anything like that. Pain, emotional pain. And when you recognize an illusion, when you recognize that it doesn't come from love, it doesn't come from God, therefore it comes from the one that wants us to believe that it's God, the fear, you simply deny it with the power of your word. Immediately, you do not react, you do not step into conflict, you do not step into fear, you do not step into running away, because once you react in this way, you are affirming that what you see in front of you, the illusion, is true. He said, illusion exists as long as we believe in it. The moment you choose not to react to it, not to get into any conversation, any energetic entanglement with it, but simply just say, no, this is not my reality. It has been created by an error in my mind. And I forgive myself for creating such a belief that I deserve to experience this and that. And I am now giving this to God, and you detach. You detach completely, and you leave it to God. First of all, this is how you start to rebuild your trust, your faith, and you start to also, most of all, dissolve the illusion. So, for example, I had a situation where something that was hugely important for me, that I was waiting for over 6 months, suddenly I received a notification that because of a new enforced law here in the United States, I won't be able to have it. And my initial reaction was tears, drama, how? No, I can't do it anymore. I have to leave this country. I have had enough. And Jay stepped in and he said, you are giving your life force energy to the illusion. You are affirming that what you just experienced was truth. You know what to do. So I said, okay. No, I say no to it. No, God loves me. And God truly wants me to have that desire of my heart. God knows how important it is for me. I am denying that. I forgive myself and I give it to God. You won't believe, but after 2 days, I found the same company and I've been told that this law has been taken down. Normally, you would say it's completely illogical, but that's the thing. Logic doesn't exist. In God's world, logic doesn't exist. It's man-made. Second situation happened with hugely increased bills, utility bills, and information that was given that from now on, this is what's going to happen. 3 times, 4 times, 5 times higher. And I went like, no, I'm not accepting this as my reality. And as I could see other people going into fear around me and actually receiving high bills, I received the lowest bill ever. The amount was just so extremely small that it was ridiculous and again very illogical. And Jesus said to pass on this message to every single person that is experiencing some form of unreleased fear, unreleased trauma, that is not allowing you to feel happy, that is not allowing you to feel the love of God, to look around your life, to look around your reality, and take at least one thing. Maybe these are, I don't know, financial circumstances. Maybe these are some relationship circumstances. Anything else that is causing you pain. And maybe you've been trying and it didn't work. He's asking you to take this one thing and simply forgive yourself and then give it to God. Give it to Jay and the touch. And see the miracle loving work that he will give it to you. What this will also do for you, it will help you to very quickly understand and actually feel how loved you are. If you are struggling with the trust in masculine, the relationship with Yeshua will help you to heal that for sure. And you will also feel so much more empowered. You will finally fully see that the external reality is mimicking you, that you are not enslaved by it, but you can command it, you can rule it, and you can choose. You can truly, truly choose. Because we've been again programmed to be enslaved by it, to believe that everything is so real. It's not. It's a holographic experience. That's all it is. That's all. And it will help you to step more powerfully into your creatrix, into your femininity, connect with your womb, feel that you can actually change and shift your life. Maybe you have been feeling stuck. Maybe you have been asking yourself, how can I bring a change to my life? And you didn't know how. And everything was, repeating itself, constantly the same. Take this one thing and give it to him. Give it to God. And that brings us back to this authenticity of your path. Because if you want to walk your path as a divine feminine, the trust must be 100%. If you will miss 1% when you are downloading a DVD, remember those discs that we had. If you would download only 99%, it will not play. It needs to be 100%. Your trust, your oneness, your lack of trying to control things out of fear must be really taken under the magnifying glass. And you need to start releasing those things that are not included in the description of the divine feminine, and truly commit to that. And I wish to all of you to experience what I've been given to experience, this oneness, absolute oneness, when you physically feel your body just shape-shifting. Literally, that's how it felt, shape-shifting and being illuminated and purified. Because sin doesn't exist. Jay said, see, this whole world is based on a lie of a single sin, that you left home. This whole reality is based on a lie. So in order to bring this new reality, the first thing we need to do, we need to remove the root cause of creating this reality, which is the guilt, which is the sin. Sin does not exist. You know why? He said, because your spirit in an essence is pure. It always has been and always will be. Your spirit is always one with God. It's the mind, the physical mind, that has been infected. And it's creating an illusion. But the illusion is not true. And the sin is not true either. So the quicker you release yourself and forgive yourself absolutely everything and return to your own innocence, the quicker you will also start to more freely allow yourself to receive that love of God. Because, to be honest, the reason why we are not allowing ourselves to receive is also because of some form of guilt. because we feel unworthy. And we feel unworthy because something happened. And if something negative happened, it came from an ill mind. It didn't come from love, so it came from a lie. It didn't come from the truth. So when we remove the sin and return to our innocence, and then we realize there's nothing to be scared of, I no longer feel like I have to run. I haven't done anything wrong. I feel free now to surrender. And you surrender, you receive back your whole self. And you receive back the embodiment of the truth that you never left home. And when you step into that frequency, oneness, full detachment, wholeness, trust, that's when you are ready to express externally the new earth. So I wanted to share this beautiful experience with you, to tell you that there is nothing that compares to that. It's freedom. This is the ultimate freedom, freedom of the mind. There's no more fear then. And if you feel, again, this call, and you feel like you've been strangled by the fear and difficult circumstances in your life, start acting accordingly to what I said. And I guarantee you will find your freedom, you will find your truth, you will embody that. There is no way you go read a book about divine feminine and try to download on top of the guilt, on top of the distortion, the template of the divine feminine. It's not real, it's not true, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. You're gonna have to repeat it. You're gonna have to repeat, go back to the beginning. It is also a huge sign of the ignorance whenever you are trying to do something like that. Ignorance to the wisdom, ignorance to, you know, your internal intuition that is probably telling you that it doesn't feel adequate, it doesn't feel true, real. It is ignorance. And ignorance is also one of the things that divide you, that creates this illusion of division between you and God. So it's very, very important. For those of you who will be interested in joining the Temple Academy from January, I will be soon bringing a new live event with all the information how you can join the Divine Feminine Leadership Academy, the Temple. I do hope that women that will join from January will be the women that will be ready for those miraculous experiences. My current groups are absolutely beautiful, and I see the change in them. My heart rejoices whenever I see that they follow the steps and they are changing their life, and there is nothing better than that. And apart from that, I will be having some new broadcasts and additional event on working with the Holy Spirit as a divine feminine and bringing more of this creatrix energy into your frequency. Thank you everyone for watching. Please leave me a comment if you enjoyed it, if you found it that it resonates with you, if this is for you. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them. I am sending you all a lot of love. Bye bye.